to the final match day of the first group stage of the Champions League. We're here with live coverage of Arsenal in their game against AIK Solna.
Who is poised. Well, that will hurt. Here is in trouble, and Barcelona happily.
Another season, another failure. A UEFA Cup place beckons for the Gunners, but the glittering prize has gone again. Tonight, Arsenal finished their Euro expedition in Sweden. A proud reputation on the line. It's AIK Solna versus Arsenal, and it's exclusively live here in around 15 minutes. Manchester United secured their second phase berth with victory in Croatia last week. Tonight they go in search for a win to guarantee top spot and ease their passage in the second phase draw. The Austrians Sturm Graz stand in their way. Last week's stunning victory over Marseille, a sharp reminder that Fergie's men can't afford to relax. Champions on 28 are live at Old Trafford. You can see the whole game here on 99 right after Arsenal. It's the final match day of the first qualifying stage. Don't miss all the action from tonight's decisive encounters here on digital. That's later on 28. But first, it's AIK Solna against Arsenal, live from the Rosunda Stadium. Good evening from Sweden. Yes, tonight's Arsenal attempt to put some pride back into their failed Champions League campaign and go out on a high with a much-needed victory. Confidence certainly low at the North London club. And joining me tonight is Paul Elliott. Surely that's what Arsene Wenger will be looking for tonight, a morale-boosting victory.
Absolutely. Clearly a disappointing championship campaign. However, you know, professionalism and going out there and trying to do well for their supporters and for their professional pride obviously has got to be a priority.
Arsenal finished third, they're in the UEFA Cup. Why do you think they failed in the Champions League?
Well, there isn't one definitive answer, Jeremy. However, you've got to look at, you're expecting them to win their home games. I mean, the game away in Florence for me was a significant turning point. Arsenal should have won that game. Very, very unfortunate.
There's the league table. We can see Fiorentina, the team that's finished above them.
And that would have shaped the table completely differently with Fiorentina going to Wembley. Arsenal could have approached it tactically, and going into the last game, you could certainly rely on Arsenal to get 3 points this evening, and maybe Fiorentina to slip up against Barcelona, because Barcelona always were going to be the best in that group. Solna always going to be the last. There's a question about that second and third.
And we were in Florence, but it was the game at Wembley that did them. They're not very good at Wembley, Arsenal, are they?
Well, I mean, obviously you've got to look at the statistics, and on paper it's not good.
There they are, 3 defeats out of 6 games. That's over the last 2 seasons in the Champions League.
Yeah, and clearly for me, you know, Arsenal can't play their natural games. Teams who are highly technically skilled, who like time, who like space on the ball, like Fiorentina, like Barcelona, for me, that would suit them. However, at Highbury, it's intimidatory, it's tight, it's compact. The players know the pitch, and I think privately, I think they probably miss playing at Highbury.
OK, now a few players have been left at home, but some decent players here tonight. We can have a look at the Arsenal team. There it is, and for me the excitement tonight is watching those 2 Frenchmen together in midfield again.
2 outstanding players, a formidable partnership, and clearly, you know, Petit for me is such a vital component in the Arsenal side, and when he's playing, he's got that kind of player. His presence gives all the players around him a lift and a psychological lift, and he breathes the life, you know, the fear of God into the opposition as well. An outstanding player, and one that I felt that had he been in Arsenal's European campaign could have made all the difference.
Thanks for the moment, Paul. Well, Arsenal's opponents Solna have just lost the Swedish Championship to Helsingborg. That was at the weekend, and their manager Stuart Baxter's been reflecting on events with Gabriel Clark.
Stuart, I know Arsene Wenger and the Arsenal lads have had morale problems, but what about you guys?
Morale problems, well, we were a big disappointment at the weekend. We won our game, but it wasn't enough. The other result didn't go our way, so we ended up finishing second and not winning the championship. Team selection is a problem for us. We've had both of our centre-backs go down today. The one has twisted his back and can't play, and the other one has just come to me and told me that he's got a raging fever. So we've got a patched-up backline this evening.
I know it's about trying to rebuild morale here. It's your last game. What about Arsenal? Are you surprised they're out of the Champions League at this early stage? Yeah,
I'm surprised. I'm surprised because I tipped them to be the winners of our group. I must say, I said to David Dean, you know, if the referees had done their job in our first game against Barcelona, they'd been through. And it isn't really a lot more complicated than that.
Tonight, briefly, what are your chances?
We're going to give it the gun. I mean, we're going to have a go at it. the team that we've got on the field is not our strongest team, but I'm sure that everybody that pulls on a black shirt will have a right go, and that'll do me if we can finish the season like that.
Optimistic Stuart Baxter. Well, tonight there's an important match in Group D. Manchester United are looking for a significant win. With news from that. Thanks, Gary. That game's live on Champions on 28. Coming up here on 99, it's AIK Solna against Arsenal. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back to the Resunda Stadium in Stockholm. There are the teams coming out, Arsenal and AIK Solna. You're watching Champions League on 99. Don't forget, you can watch the Manchester United game over on Champions on 28, but we're staying with Arsenal here. Paul Elliott is with me. Paul, your prediction for tonight?
Well, I'm going to fancy Arsenal. I'm sure Wenger would have made it clear, abundantly clear in his team talk, that they have to go for a win. They need as many points as possible towards being seeded for Europe in future years. And I think that will be obviously started with a positive outcome and a good victory and a good performance this evening.
Thanks, Paul. Let's hope they can do it. Let's join our commentary team then. Ian St John. And first of all, it's Peter Brackley.
Thank you, Jeremy. Hello, everyone. And as the curtain descends then on Arsenal's Champions League campaign, it will be, they hope, with a flourish rather than a whimper. Arsene Wenger insists the need to improve their UEFA ranking is motivation in itself. And of course, there's the chance for one or two fringe players to enhance their claims for a regular place. For Solna, well, it's the end of their season, not only in Europe, but domestically too. And they'll be striving to put behind them the disappointment of so narrowly missing out on retaining the Swedish League title, as well as giving their fans a real night to remember as they pursue their first win in this Champions League group. Something of a festive mood in this atmospheric stadium. Tickets for the Champions League games here are all eagerly snapped up. 30,000 or so in the ground, as opposed to around half that figure or less, really, for the average domestic game. The locals are certainly taking it seriously, and their coach, I should say, Stuart Baxter, is very anxious that his team put on a decent show, an end-of-term bonus, as it were. Solna suffered a real pounding in the Nou Camp last week, and their plans to nullify Arsenal's threat have been hit by the loss of two of their main defenders, Brundin through injury and Jung, who's been taken ill. Andreas Andersen, signed from Newcastle, had his best game for the club at the weekend. He's up front, and Pontus Kormak, ex-Leicester man, switches to the centre in defence. Arsenal's side is a mixture really of regulars and those who'd like to be. No Tony Adams, Martin Keown, Ray Parler, Thierry Henry or Dennis Bergkamp. Davor Schuker and Kanu both start, along with Manu Petit, who's been declared fit despite problems with his recent knee injury. The Ukrainian Oleg Luzhny and Matthew Upson are paired together in central defence. Arsenal, as I was saying, have left a few first-team squad members behind then. Their bench includes a couple of youngsters there in Ashley Cole and Tommy Black. Germany provides the match officials tonight. The referee, Hartmut Stramper, earned his FIFA badge back in '93. It's such an emotional night for Solna's popular captain, Christian Nordin. He plays his final game for the club before ending his 8-year stint by moving to Brøndby. You're watching On Digital's live coverage from Arsenal's match in the Resunda Stadium against AIK Solna. Despite the ultimate failing of both teams to last the pace in the group, there's a really buoyant atmosphere being generated by a near-capacity crowd. It's not every day that teams of Arsenal's pedigree come calling in these parts, and the Swedish fans are refusing to allow their big weekend disappointment to spoil the party. They were so close to retaining the Swedish title. They won their final game, Solna, but it wasn't enough. Helsingborg picked them for the championship. This is Nordin. Now Schönström. Andersen is in the centre. Corneliusson arriving as well. This is Corneliusson. And Petit just calming it all down.
The experience of Petit there, Peter. you know, looked to be a little bit of trouble in the air, and I think that might be the case tonight. You know, without Adams and Keon, they may have a little problem there with aerial stuff.
Kanu with a header on. Way by Sherlow, who switched to the centre of the back line at the last moment. Young, who should have played there, turned up on the ground with a heavy fever and had to be ruled out. Sherlow taking the free kick. He's a Norwegian. Gustafsson, who is a Swedish international. Now Patrick Vieira. Kanu. Such a pleasing sight for Arsenal to see Petit and Vieira in tandem in the centre of the midfield. But not for that much longer, of course, with Vieira about to start his 6-match ban. And it won't be until November the 11th. One note of caution for Arsenal, they do have 2 players, Schuke and Vieira, 1 yellow card away from European suspension. And any further bookings will carry over into the UEFA Cup, which of course they join in the next round. Just too long for Novakovic, running 7 for Solna. He was the man who scored in the game against Barcelona here. And they were leading until just 4 minutes from time before a controversial equaliser and then a late winner for the Spanish Giants. On by Dixon. Luzhny in the centre of the back line alongside Matthew Upson in the absence of Adams and Keogh, who've both been rested for this fixture. Here's Cormac. Anderson out-jumped. Petit back on defensive guard and Dixon with the back pass. Cormac or Gustafsson, who is attracting the interest of 1 or 2 Premier League clubs at the moment, including Middlesbrough and West Ham, I gather. That's good chasing back here by Dixon to outmaneuver Anderson.
I think a suspicion of handball there by Dixon. I think his left hand came into contact with the ball. I thought he was very fortunate there.
Well, certainly a protest from Anderson. And Stuart Baxter down below with the coach is already on his feet, gesticulating. He does get very wound up. Of course, he was banned from being on the bench at Wembley after being sent off. That fracas laid on against Barcelona here. Upson with a long clearance for Schuke to chase. Asper, the goalkeeper, is very highly thought of in his home country. He's in the national squad. And of course, the number 1 is Magnus Hedman of Coventry. Upson. Now to Winterburn, who is captaining Arsenal tonight. Now Dixon. Here's Vieira. Away from Nordin. Lovely skill then from the Frenchman. Beautifully done. Still Patrick Vieira trying to slide it on into the path of Kanu, but the flag was up for offside. On by Ola Anderson to Corneliussen. It's a good ball too. Away goes Andreas Andersen now. Novakovic calling far post. Poor delivery though, and Upson was able to tidy up, albeit at the expense of a corner.
Well, there's been a couple of danger signs down that left-hand side as far as Solna are concerned, and they're attacking well down there. Actually, it was a poor ball in, really. Should have done better.
Corneliussen will take this corner kick. Lagerlöf has come up from the back. Nordin, he's a threat in the air too, the captain. Well, the referee has seen an infringement, and it will be a free kick to Arsenal. Novakovic, who's turned 35 now. He has Swedish citizenship, although born in Yugoslavia, but he's a real live wire up front. Got tangled up then with Meninga. Well, Arsene Wenger admitted on Saturday his team really struggled against Newcastle after the shattering defeat by Fiorentina. Our brains as well as our legs, he said, seemed to be damaged by that result, and they never got out of first gear. Gustafsson, who's a neat and tidy player down that left side for AIK Solna. We've had them to settle for second place in their domestic league, the champions from last season. It's a good run by Andreas Andersen. On by Lagerlöf. Offside against Novakovic.
Good run by Andreas Andersson there, Peter, picking the ball up inside his own half. And I suppose he'll be wanting to impress tonight and show viewers back home in England that you know, he's a better player than his form was at Newcastle.
Well, he certainly struggled there, and in Milan too in Serie A. Never really got going. But he did have injuries to curtail his progress with Newcastle. Just beginning to find his best form in Sweden now. Scored at the weekend. It was his best game for the club. That's Ljungberg, who's well known in these parts, of course, for his time with Halmstad, one of their rivals. Halmstad were champions a couple of years ago. Meninga, who played in the early games in the Champions League before losing his place to David Seaman. Wenger restoring him.
Well, Meninga was sort of looking at the pitch after the bad kick there, and I was down on the pitch before, Peter, and it is pretty bare, you know. They've had a full season on it. This is him finished now, and you know, it looks as if it's had, you know, a good season's work. It's pretty bare in patches.
But the weather, thankfully, not quite as cold as we feared it might be in Stockholm. It's Schönström. Won by Dixon. Well, a big night, of course, coming up next week. His testimonial against Real Madrid at Highbury on Monday. Free kick to the Gunners for the foul on Kanu. Such an intelligent player, but such an unpredictable one too, the Nigerian. That was Vieira. Now Upson looking for the run of Overmars. Lagerlöf was there. He's the man who's been drafted into the team at the last moment. Winterburn. Overmars with a lovely sprint then. Mark Overmars might go for goal, but didn't really get hold of his shot.
That's the first touch he's had in the game. Almost got himself in the scoring position in Overmars.
Matthias Asper. One of quite a few players who may well be moving on, we gather, from Solna. And Stuart Baxter might tonight, later on, just take the chance to see what one or two of his reserves are made of at this level. This is Nordin, who is certainly departing, going to Brøndby in Denmark. He's been a terrific servant to this club over the past 7 or 8 years now. He was the man who scored at Wembley, bringing the game level at 1-1 before Arsenal went on to win with 2 goals really late in the day from Henry and Chouquet. Nigel Winterburn. This is Upson. Hasn't had too many opportunities so far this season. Lushny alongside him. It was a slip then by the Ukrainian, which he was rather fortunate to get away with, if he has. Playing in a rather unfamiliar role then in central defence, Lushny. Recently recognised as a right back or a wing back. Made by Sherlow. In goes Nordin with Vieira, who was stronger in the tackle. Now Ljungberg. Tackle was a fair one. But here's Petit now for Arsenal. Stepped on to Ljungberg.
Might have done better, I thought, Peter. He was in a good position there, looking to play Suker in.
Vieira. All the way back to Alex Meninga, who's now the Austrian #1. 10 minutes into the first half. Lee Dixon for Arsenal. Lushny was square of him, and this is Nigel Winterburn. Now approaching 600 games for the club. Wenger has been suggesting, tipping maybe he's worth a recall to the England squad for the Scotland games. It's just a kind of occasion he would relish. What do you think about that, Saint?
Well,
it'll be a battle, won't it?
I think it's a game a lot of English players would relish.
And a few Scots as well.
I think so.
Petit. Chouquet just offside. Anu Petit was training last night. He had a strapping to his leg.
It's a big strapping he's got at the moment there on his left leg, Peter. And, you know, you feel when you see a player out there with a strapping like that, you know, things just can't be right. But so far, I mean, he's getting very much involved, so it doesn't look as if it's hindering him anyway.
Here's Ljungberg, one of Sweden's heroes from the team that has qualified for the Euro 2000 finals. England hoping to join them. So Sweden beat Poland here to push them into the playoffs. There is Meninga's dreadful clearance straight to Anderson. We've got 3 or 4 up here. It's Anderson with a shot. Didn't hit it with that much conviction though. And at the end, Ola Anderson settles for the corner.
Well, what was Meninga thinking about there? I mean, you know, he's got the option of playing the ball right upfield, and he looks to try and play the ball to the right fullback position, and it was a shocker. And really, you know, they could have got themselves punished here. Anderson coming inside on his right foot gets a deflection for the corner kick.
Looking bright so far, Andreas Andersen. Nordin. Winterburn was brave, kept his eye on the ball, but can't locate Overmars or Schuker. Nordin, Novakovic in pursuit, and Luzhny happy for his goalkeeper to collect.
Well, Novakovic has been borderlining on offside, and he's been caught a couple of times, and that time there, if the ball hadn't just been as firm there, I think he was onto that one.
It's over the head of Nordin, and also that of Kanu. Gustafsson under pressure from Schuker. Schuker, who scored 6 times this season. Under the rotation system, of course, he hasn't started every single game. He hasn't played with, I think it's only the 2nd time he's been partnered by Kanu. No Henry or Bearcat tonight, left behind. Gustafsson. Now Schenström. He's caught the eye this season, but he's given the ball away now. Rather carelessly to Kanu. Was a lovely ball slipped on. Ljungberg away down that far side. Ljungberg's cross. It was too close to Asper. He was set up by the vision of Kanu. Now Dixon on the back foot. Meninga under pressure. He's lost his concentration again for a moment there.
He's been very shaky with the ball on the ground. I mean, it is a bit bobbly, and he's not got too much confidence, I tell you, with his feet.
Corneliussen. Dixon's clearance wasn't a very effective one though. That was Ola Anderson, and it's just too long for Corneliussen. Well, they're normally pretty strong here on their own ground, Solna. They've only lost once at home this season, but it was a crucial defeat that in the end was to prove costly for them. They have been leading the way in the championship race. That's good defending by Dixon. Nordin jumping with Kanu. Corneliussen pumping it forward towards Andreas Andersen. Luzhny was there, and then Upson alongside him, the England under-21 international. Schuker, good first touch. Overmars. Here's Schuker, the Croatian international again. Now Winterburn. Manu Petit. Rather overhitting his passer in search of Overmars. But you feel they have the midfield balance right, Wenger's team, when he is alongside Vieira in that central position. Novakovic didn't have the pace there to get away from Luzhny. Dixon just about managed to switch his feet, adjust his feet in time. Kanu. Crisply moving it on. Davor Schuker. Now Kanu again. This is Dixon. Arsenal with 4 in the box. Ljungberg looking to attack, but can't do so. And out comes Corneliussen. Just completed his first season with the club. Petit. Was Ola Anderson in with the tackle, but Novakovic. Corneliussen again. Defenders have stepped so far upfield, and Anderson is caught offside.
Yes, I mean, he was offside by a good yard or two, but they've tried that ball numerous occasions so far, and you know, I think that's their plan. I think they know Arsenal play square, and I think they're looking to just play that ball inside them, in behind them.
Over Mars. Now Vieira. On by Upson. Again, Schuker has wandered out to that far side, onto his favoured left foot. Petit. Good combination play here from Arsenal. Freddie Ljungberg stretching Gustafsson. Getting the bird from the home fans. That's Petit and Overmars. What a good finish from Mark Overmars.
And what a delightful ball it was. Magnificent ball by Petit there, finds him at the back post, and so casually, just first time into the corner. Lovely goal.
Well, the interplay was so slick here from Arsenal.
I thought it was offside, you know, but as the ball is played, maybe not, maybe
touch and go.
Yeah, it was a hairline decision, but look at the delightful ball. You know, he just got his foot underneath it, all the backspin on it, holds it up, just inviting him to put it in.
Excellent technique from Mark Overmars to give Arsenal the lead 17 minutes in. The goal they had been suggesting might not be too long in coming. But now it's Novakovic for AIK Solna. Gustafsson breaking from the back.
I always think that's the best thing for the game, Peter, when the away team score. The home team now have got to really go for it. I know the manager said that's what he was going to do, have a real go tonight, but you know, I think from now on in it's got to be a case of let's get in there. So this makes the game. It will open up, and Arsenal, who are brilliant on the counter-attack, you know, can see a few more goals piling in here.
Such a well-taken goal by Overmars, who also scored, of course, against Barcelona at Wembley. But no other goals from him this season. Corneliussen, Novakovic, battling with Upson, who had the measure of him. Winterburn's throw to Vieira. Now Kanu, deft first touch, but Lagerlöf was able to sweep it back to his keeper. A rather hurried clearance by him. It was Anderson who knocked it on. Lushny had to make a swift recovery then with Novakovic threatening.
Well, that tested Lushny's pace, didn't it? Again, you know, a little header, topped on, trying to get the ball in behind him. The Ukrainian player did well.
Well, they call it the horse for the way he gallops upfield. He had to gallop back there. The Ukrainian international, who hasn't had too much of a look in so far. Dixon has remained the first choice at right back. This is Gustafsson. I was certainly impressed by him at Wembley in the first game between these two teams. Solna, in truth, were under the hammer for much of the game, but suddenly found themselves level and had a real chance of being away with a point until Arsenal's late flourish. Now can they strike back here, the home team? It was Vieira. Up goes Schenstrom with Ljungberg. Vieira again. Wearing gloves, although as I was saying, it's not that cold tonight. You wait till the winter sets in.
Kanu's got the gloves on as well.
That was said by a man who's wearing a hat, keeping his ears warm.
Yeah, that's my Champions League hat.
Yeah. Overmars. Back towards Schuker, but he has to fetch it and can't keep it in. Schuker will be as shattered as anyone by Arsenal's failure. He was tipping them to go on to win the competition. They don't go out at the first phase. But it's been their home form, not their games on their travels, that have been so costly. They only lost once in the Champions League away from home over the last two seasons in Kiev. And of course, they've won only twice at home. Lagerlöf. In goes Winterburn. Winch is on record this week as saying he doesn't believe Arsenal should be in the UEFA Cup. He said if you're out, you're out. Any thoughts on that, Saint?
I mean, it used to be, of course, but I mean, they're in a league. What's he talking about?
Well, he's saying if you've been knocked out of the Champions League, why should you go on to play in another competition?
Because, you know, football today, it's all about money. So that's why they're in it. So they've got all the sort of reasonably big clubs who haven't qualified for the next phase of Champions League going into the UEFA Cup and trying to keep it a sort of big name trophy. But you know, a lot of people think it's not been the right thing to do. But there you go, it's all about the dosh.
Rujny to Upson, then Winterburn. Remains as competitive as ever, and I'm sure he will be once the UEFA Cup campaign gets underway. He'll be motivated, okay. Dixon to Ljungberg. Good movement again from Arsenal. Just controlling things at the moment. Rujny to Petit.
Petit's been at the heart of everything so far, hasn't he? I mean, he's always available, wants the ball off defenders, wants the ball off his front players, backing them up.
Well, Arsene Wenger was saying after training last night he wasn't sure if he would start tonight, waiting to see if there was any further reaction to that knee problem. Clearly there wasn't any, so he was in from the start, and he's been very effective. Vieira, though, has lost out. Nordin trying to thread it on. Another Kovic making a real nuisance of himself, but bundling into the back of Luzhny, and he was rightly penalised. Petit looking to release Kanu, but it was a mite ambitious then from the French World Cup star. Schiller to Lagerlöf. Corneliussen and Ola Anderson. Veteran midfielder. This is Winterburn. Putting a bit more pressure onto Alex Meninga.
See, Meninga's not comfortable on his left foot when the ball comes back to him there, so there's no way to get any distance on the ball. Took it with his right.
Anderson. Andreas Anderson, good run too, away from Winterburn. Nanakovic was shaping up for the header in the centre. It didn't reach him, and eventually it's away by Petit, but it's a super little run then from Anderson.
Yeah, there was a good header away by Luzhny.
And Arsenal then were fully extended. Cormac to Gustafsson. Nordin's off on a run through the middle. Vieira has spotted him though. Corneliussen to Lagerlöf. Well, Arsene Wenger certainly didn't feel he was gambling by putting Upson in tonight. He considers him a more than useful member of his squad. And certainly able cover for Adams and Keown. Nordin, who went down. Kovic wants to take this free kick. Lagerlöf has arrived in the centre. It is Novakovic. Bent over invitingly towards Nordin, who was lurking far post, and it will be another corner.
I do think this is where the Arsenal miss Tony Adams and Keown, you know, all the high stuff going in. Did well ups in the air, got his head to it, not looking for the corner.
Again, Nordin is the target. Made by young Upson. Anderson slipped into his namesake. This is Ola Anderson. Got a little bit too much time on the ball, and Upson eventually was able to hack it away. Kanu. He'll never settle for the ordinary, will he? With such extravagant skills, Kanu, highlighted by that sensational hat-trick against Chelsea recently, and they came from 2 goals down. Ljungberg, on a lively run by him. Schuker making tracked into the middle. Schirlo's clearance has only gone to Overmars. Good strike. In goes Winterburn, and the keeper was there again. to spread himself and make the save, Asper. Petit. Flipped in towards Schuker and Ljungberg. This is Nordin. Solna survive, but they are very indebted to their goalkeeper, Matthias Asper. Now Gustafsson on the break. Novakovic. It's Ola Andersson through the middle. He's onside, but a great chance. And it's Meninga's turn to shine now. Both goalkeepers excelling. Andreas Andersson.
Well, exciting phase of play that one, wasn't it? I thought we were going to get a very rare goal from Nigel Winterborn at one end there. The goalkeeper made a very good stop. And then at the other end here, Meninga came out, spread himself, did well. A la Schmeichel, that, wasn't it? See, there's that ball played through Peter, catching him square, as I said.
A super through ball from Novakovic, and Ola Andersson couldn't quite take advantage. But credit to Alex Meninga for his alertness in that Arsenal goal. Corneliussen has done well. Novakovic, good spell this for the home side. Andreas Andersson, shoots from near post. Dixon away for the corner.
Well, the Arsenal boys are claiming that he was offside, and they're giving the linesman a bit of stick here, but I'm not too sure of that. I think, you know, they're holding the line, and I think the runs at times have been pretty good, you know, by the Solna boys.
It's Schanstrom with the corner. Lagerlöf looking to make his run around the penalty spot. In goes Lagerlöf. Timed his run well, but no real accuracy on the header.
So they've done better, really, Peter, I think, in that one. You know, he's got to keep it down, at least.
Lagerlöf, who's had some 14 years with the club, he's come up through the junior ranks. Might have made a name for himself then, and he kept his header on target. Schuker. Corneliussen to Novakovic. Andersson hadn't quite read his intentions, and Lushny is mopping up then for Arsenal. Freddie Ljungberg. The casual ball though, Gustafsson crashing into the tackle. They're not holding back here, Solna, in any way. Looking to end their season on a high. There was another chance for Andersson. That's two he's had, Ola Andersson.
Yes, set up by Andreas Andersson. And he really should, again, you know, you always say players should do a little bit better. But Andreas Andersson did well here. You know, he had a look up, played it in his path. There you are, inside the D, and doesn't even hit the target.
They are creating opportunities here, Solna. Ola Andersson, who's out of contract. And there is some speculation he might be moving on to Pastors New. 33 now. Ljungberg. Petit. And we were wondering, saying about the atmosphere tonight because of the circumstances, the position of the two teams, but it's been cracking so far.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think the fans are enjoying this one. You know, the home team of having a good spell at the moment, really pushing for that equaliser.
Andersson, who again has drifted out to that far side. This is Schanstrom, who was almost released. Petit. Again firm and decisive in the tackle, and he was upended by Corneliussen.
Well, Solna certainly getting stuck in about them, aren't they?
Arsenal with a big game coming up at the weekend, of course. Tottenham in the North London derby. But this game clearly tonight is going to be no easy passage for them. The home team are really wound up. But Arsenal have the lead thanks to Mark Overmars on 17 minutes. Corneliussen, outmanoeuvre this time by Winterburn. In goes Vieira, and he was being lent on then by Ola Andersson, who's a tough and abrasive little midfielder. Vieira, that's good play. Now Dixon. Schuker's made a dart into the box. Dixon drilling it across, way by Sherlow. Now Andreas Andersson. Took a long while to score his first goal for his club. He's got 2 now in consecutive games at the back end of the season. Gustafsson. He was careless. Petit read his intention. Schuker sweeping it on to Kanu. He's been rather on the periphery of things so far, but with his talent, well, you can never write him off. That's Overmars. Winterburn has come across to take this throw.
If you're looking for Kanu at the near post for the top-on header.
On the edge of the 6-yard box, Kanu laid off to Overmars. That's a super save from Asper. Overmars so close to his second of the night. Ljungberg. Now then to Petit. In goes Schuker and Overmars. Again, the flag stayed down.
Well, Peter, the queuing up there, I mean, there was 3 of them there. There was Overmars, there was Schuker, Winterburn was in there, 3 Arsenal players, all onside. The linesman kept his flag down.
Well, Nordin, the captain, has gone across to look to talk to the referee's assistant. He certainly felt there should have been a flag. But in truth, they lost their composure then, Solna, and they very nearly paid the price for it. Overmars. That's good handling, though, by Asper.
It was almost a replica of the goal, wasn't it? You know, again, a lovely little ball played by Petit, and instead of just Overmars being there was 3 of them there. It was a case of maybe too many cooks.
Really static defending by Solna, and it should have been punished. Luzhny. This is Dixon to Ljungberg. He's featured a lot more often this season, Ljungberg, than the last campaign, although, of course, he had injury problems. Cormack. That's some 4 years or so with Leicester City. No foul on Novakovic in the eyes of the German referee. But now it will be a free kick to Arsenal. The home fans decidedly disgruntled at the moment.
Yeah, the home fans think they're on the wrong side of the referee's decisions.
Novakovic was the man left somewhat aggrieved. Out comes Cormack. Oh, he's in trouble now. Vieira striding through the middle with Kanu. Options right and left. Schuker and Ljungberg beyond him. Reading Ljungberg. He kept battling away. Gustafsson frustrated by the referee's decision, which has gone against him. Certainly some tugging going on. And then Ljungberg lost his balance.
Well, that's right, I think so. It was a case of both of them doing a little bit pushing and shoving.
Schuker with the free kick. Ljungberg almost got his head to it. It's Schuker again. The European Champions League winner, of course, with Real Madrid. But no glory for Arsenal this season. There's a big disappointment for them after all the early promise. They started so encouragingly with that goalless draw in Florence. You can't help wondering now, seeing what might have happened had Kanu put away that penalty against Fiorentina.
Well, you know, when you're out of competition, you can always look back and you know, see the areas that you might have done better in, but that's all just for chat now, isn't it? You can all just talk about it.
What a good finish that was from Overmars. Kanu. With time and space, Vieira is alongside. Kanu again, just lazily rolling it off then into the path of Frederick Ljungberg. Overmars is receiving some attention down on the sidelines before he can resume. Vieira stepping in, and he was caught then by Ola Anderson, who went right into the back of him. Well, it was reckless.
There's been one or two little notches just creeping into the game, Peter, and that was one of them there. I think they're getting a little bit frustrated, Solna. You know, Arsenal have so many class players, especially in midfield. They're knocking the ball around, and you know, they're going chasing it and getting one or two late tackles going in.
Well, Arsenal had the lion's share of possession at Wembley, and it's been the same case here. But certainly Solna have had opportunities. Overmars has actually changed his boots, so it's not an injury. One or two have been struggling with their footwear. Lushny, I noticed early on. This is Gustafsson for Solna. Then Cormack. Will be forever remembered by English fans for his man-marking job on Juninho in the League Cup final.
Not favourably by Middlesbrough fans.
He's certainly keyed up for this game. Frederick Ljungberg against so many of his compatriots. Let there be no doubt about it, both these teams are taking it very seriously.
Oh, very much so. I mean, I didn't think either team would come out here and not want to try and win this game.
Corneliussen, Novakovic, offside. And there's no argument there. Anderson, he knew it too.
Yeah, but you know, they're right on the shoulder all the time here, Solna up front, and you know, I think Anderson, well, he got away before. Both of them got away before, and I think, you know, it's the one thing tonight that you look at the Arsenal team and at the centre-back positions, and I think that's just going to be a little bit vulnerable for them.
That was Winterburn. Put it up for Kanu, now Vieira. But Ola Anderson was beavering away at him. Now Andreas Anderson. So keen to revive his career, now he's back in Sweden. Had a lot of success early on with Gothenburg, before his ill-fated moves to Milan and Newcastle. Vieira going to ground. No real contact on him though, he just lost his footing. It's a bit slippery on top. Kanu is very slippery everywhere. This is Overmars, teasing defenders. Player with genuine pace, Overmars, and they do lack that, you feel, sometimes up front, Arsenal. Ljungberg, whose commitment has been total tonight. Here's Kanu. Now Schuker. He wanted on his left. Davor Schuker. Kanu might go all the way through here. Well, no angle is impossible for this fellow, as he underlined in the Chelsea game.
Well, exactly. I mean, that was the impossible goal. He had an angle in his right foot there. Really, I think he would want to hit this one across the goalkeeper, but went near post. I think the defenders were closing him down there and went near post. Always going wide.
Well, there are one or two reports that he's unsettled. I don't think that's the case, Kanu. He's had problems getting his family over, getting visas for them, but I think that's been sorted out now. And that was a strike from Overmars that ricocheted back off the keeper. And Winterburn was dreaming of glory.
But that was a cracking save with the goalkeeper.
Nordin. Corneliussen. Difficult ball to control, he did well. Upson. There goes Petit with Lagerlöf, now Winterburn. Been a couple of years since he's scored. Dixon, who got his first for 3 years the other week in the Everton match. Vieira squeezing it back to Upson, who knows he has to bide his time before he can claim any kind of regular place in the Arsenal team, but it may not be too long away now. Dixon, one of the old guard at the back. This is Vieira to Manu Petit, who seems so comfortable on the ball, Petit. And no question, they're a different side when he is playing in tandem with this man Vieira.
Without a doubt.
Novakovic, it's a beautiful angle ball. Now Anderson, can he finish here? Still Anderson, he's gone right through. And that is a wonderful goal from Andreas Anderson. Arsenal were torn apart. That is finishing of the highest quality from a man who's looking to rebuild his career After a couple of, well, pretty disastrous moves, he's on the up again.
Well, a threat to do it all night, Peter. Again, you know, the ball played through the middle, just over the top. He gets clear, he comes inside, and that takes on the goalkeeper as well. I mean, that was lovely skill, beautiful skill.
Oh, he was really cool here, as well as determined. Andreas Andersson. It was a fabulous through ball from Novakovic that sent him on his way, but there was still much to be done.
Oh, there was a lot to be done, and he certainly did it. Lovely skill. Young Upson it was. He took on in the race and then turned him and then went past the keeper. Lovely goal, that. Beautiful.
5 minutes of the first half to go, and Solna are back on level terms, as they were at Wembley. Ljungberg bending in his cross. Sherlow away. In goes Petit. Now Corneliussen on the count of a Solna. And their fans are really finding their voices now. Quite a festive atmosphere in the stadium. Heightened now by the goal for the home side. Luzhny. Andersson was always highly regarded in his early days, but his career certainly turned sour in Italy and up in the northeast of England. And the word was he was taking a while to settle to back in Sweden. But he's back in business, as his goal testifies. Winterburn for Arsenal. Overmars, who'd given them the lead. Cancelled out by that brilliant equaliser by Andreas Andersson. Sherlow managing to outbox Freddie Ljungberg. Very excitable crowd now. This colourful night in Stockholm. Overmars. It was Petit. Well, they were so looking forward to this game when the draw was announced. A lot of Arsenal fans around Sweden. They see a lot of our games on television out here. Indeed, the tickets for all 3 home games were sold out within a couple of days. Just over 30,000 in the stadium. Only about 450 have come from London. Arsenal fans. Back away to our right, and not too noisy at the moment.
Yeah, they're rather muted, but I mean the team have played some lovely football so far tonight, and you know there's plenty more to come.
Yeah, it's been a good game. Corneliussen. Solna are certainly making a match of it. Lagerlöf will look to hurl this one in towards Andersson. Nordin, though, has stayed back. It was Corneliussen. That was a really challenge by Luzhny.
It certainly was, Peter. He was all over them like a rash there.
Oh dear, the elbow seemed to be lunged out there. Nothing given. Here's Schoenstrom. And Meninga was in the right place. Ljungberg back on his feet now. He was certainly caught by Gustafsson. And he looks in some distress over there, Freddie Ljungberg. There will be 1 minute of time added on for injuries, maybe longer now, with this problem to the Swedish international. Well, Luzhny hasn't looked that comfortable in the first half, and it really was a clumsy challenge on Andersson.
It certainly was. I mean, you know, that is the area, obviously, that there is a little bit of a weak link there tonight, and Solna know that, and they're certainly playing on it.
Ljungberg still receiving attention.
It looks as if he's hurt his left arm.
Fell very awkwardly. Cormac and Nordin. He's just sitting in front of the back line. Lagerlöf, Corneliussen, who's had some good movement down this right side. He's off again. Played in for Novakovic. Nearly spun away from Luzhny. He stood his ground well.
Just over Upson's head, that one, and You know, I did make a point early in the game that, you know, the two centre-backs have been missing tonight, Adams and Keown, and that is the danger area, and there's so many things happening, and you know, you realise the importance of those two players to Arsenal.
Sjöström. It was almost another one. This is Corneliusson. He just wouldn't sit up for him. So they've come storming back in this first half. AIK Solna. Overmars with the opening goal for Arsenal, who seem to be in control. But then Andreas Andersson with an excellent equaliser. And it really looks like it's going to make a decent match of this one. Half-time in the Rosunda Stadium in Stockholm is 1 apiece. We're seeing here again Overmars with that brilliant strike, hitting it on the volley. But then Andersson turning defenders inside out, round the keeper. And it was reward for his endeavour up front in the first 45 minutes. It's 1 apiece in Stockholm. Well, let's go back to Jeremy Nicholas.
Thanks, Peter. A couple of cracking goals for you. 1-1 at half-time. Let's get a quick reaction to that first half from Paul Elliott.
Well, both teams certainly have made a very good contribution to a very, very good first half. I mean, Arsenal started brightly, dominated in terms of possession, got an excellent goal, but thereafter, AIK Solna have dominated the game and levelled the scoring, and I'm sure that promises to be igniting for a good second half.
OK, thanks, Paul. We'll be back with the first half highlights and all the half-time scores after this break. And I won't say the score out loud for those of you that have closed your eyes. OK, thanks for the moment, Paul. Don't forget, tomorrow night on digital, you can see all the goals as they happen. That's On Goals from 7:15 here on Champions on 99. OK, second half about to get underway. Let's rejoin our commentators, Ian St John. And first of all, here's Peter Brackley.
Thank you, Jeremy. Yes, the two teams out in readiness for the second half. Can't see any changes at the moment. I'm sure there will be one or two during the second half. But certainly the home team have given an excellent account of themselves so far. Their coach Stuart Baxter will be well pleased with the way they rallied after going a goal down. It's Solna then who start the second half, now kicking from right to left against an Arsenal team whose morale is certainly in need of a lift after their recent results. They've won only 2 of the last 7. This is Ola Andersson getting involved in a little scuffle with Kanu. And they're still arguing. There's no contest in terms of size. Kanu is towering over him. That was Gustafsson. Miscue from Upson. Winterburn was there to bail him out. Now Petit, who needs the match fitness, of course, after his lengthy layoff through injury. And how Arsenal have missed him. He and Vieira provide the perfect access, really, in the midfield. Corneliusson. 2 in the middle waiting on the cross, but it was a futile journey for them as Lagerlöf came racing down the right side to no avail. Saint, how do you see the second half shaping up?
I think I'll be looking for a little bit more from, say, Sukar up front. I haven't seen much of him at all, have we? You know, he's floated him out to the right-hand side a bit, coming in on his left foot. And other than that, you know, we haven't seen him. And, you know, he's in there to score goals, and I think he's really got to be doing a little bit better in making runs for that. I think the midfield players will find him all right if he can make the runs.
Here's Vieira. Kanu. So hard to dispossess. Vieira onto Lee Dixon. Angling his ball in towards Schuker. Didn't have the pace though to get away from his marker. Gustafsson. Now Sjöström. Ola Andersson. Novakovic was streaking through the middle. Upson was there to curtail his run. Arsenal with a couple of lads on the bench who may be blooded later. Tommy Black and Ashley Cole, as well as Paulo Vernatza, and also Stephen Hughes, who's back in favour. This is Luzhny. He's had 1 or 2 awkward moments in this unfamiliar role in the middle of the back line. Then, of course, Adams and Kehoe have had a little longer to work at their partnership.
Just a bit.
Fairness to Upson and Luzhny. Here's the Ukrainian again now. Forced into conceding the throw by the willingness of Novakovic to contest and dispute every ball. Looking to turn Dixon here. Dixon has brought him down right on the edge of the box.
I think it was for the push initially, Peter. I think he did bring him down, but the push certainly went in there. You know, as the ball was played up to him, you watch this, there's the push from Lee Dixon. There's another little pull back.
Dixon looking puzzled, but the German referee has given the right decision. More problems for Arsenal. Nordin has come up this time, and Schürrle in there. I think having to beat it away with his fists. Only as far as Ola Anderson, then Gustafsson. Anderson again. Novakovic, who's such an idol with the home fans. That was handball then by Vieira.
Yeah. I think he got the glove on it.
Don't forget, he's only one caution away from a suspension.
Well, a bit harsh in a way, you know. I mean, initially got him on the chest and sort of rolled down his arm. But it's in a dangerous position. You know, the shot could be on if they roll it square.
Nordin is lurking just behind or alongside Novakovic and Ola Anderson. Menenga desperately organising that defensive wall. Schürrle is going to take it, I think. Novakovic has just pulled away beyond them, but this is Nordin. Well, he's such a favourite with the fans here. They'll forgive him anything in his last game, remember, for the club, before he departs for Denmark.
He'd love to have scored, I think, with this one, but as soon as the ball is touched, the Arsenal close the ball down, and it's always difficult for the striker, that thing, you know, to get the shot in.
It was Kanu just notching it on, but not into the path of Schuker. Tonight, of course, they don't have the option of bringing on a Bergkamp or an Henry. They've been left at home. Vieira, another positive run through the middle, except we didn't take the ball with him. Schönstrom trying to feed Novakovic. Luzhny it well. Determined defending from the Ukrainian. He played, of course, against Arsenal in the Champions League last season. Corneliussen trying to link up with Andreas Andersen, who was a real thorn in Arsenal's flesh in the first half. Good turn then by Overmars. In goes Kanu, but not with that much conviction. And a good interchange here from the home side.
Well,
Anderson.
That was a late flag, wasn't it?
It looked that way.
I mean, Ola Anderson made the run, and it looked to me as if he was... Initially, I thought, well, he's offside, and the linesman kept the flag down, and then put it up.
Dixon. Schuker was the outlet for him. He works it on well too, tidily for Petit, then Vieira. The French combination. Here's Petit again. Nordin battling back. It might fall down for Overmars, who sprinted in. And he had too much pace for them. Well, people say there's no real acceleration up front for Arsenal. There certainly was then in the shape of Mark Overmars.
Well, Overmars has got pace, Peter. He's always had pace. You know, that's his trademark, and he was as sharp as attack there. When the ball was played through to him, there you go, just kept it low, slotted it away. I think it was Kanu, was it, who played this one through? Yep.
My word, he was quick off the mark then, Overmars. Luzhny. Overmars strikes again for the second time tonight to restore Arsenal's advantage. Just some 6 minutes into the second half. Another test of character for Solna. Novakovic. It was Ljungberg, but he couldn't hold it up. Ola Anderson. Andreas has gone to his right. Here's Corneliusen. He has covered so much ground for his team tonight. Good policing though by Upson. It was that blistering pace of Overmars that took him clear. Petit, did he manage to hook it through? No, it was Kanu.
No, it was Kanu.
Another goal for Arsenal to celebrate. And hopefully now they can turn on the style in this second half. That's Kanu. Up by Gustafsson to Schönstrom. Vieira with a foot in. Oh, class ball, it's Overmars on a hat-trick. Ljungberg far post, and he couldn't deliver. Well, he was unselfish then, Overmars. He might have claimed a third for himself.
Yeah, maybe too unselfish, I thought there, Peter. He certainly looked as the hat-trick was bang on for him. Very unselfishly played it across, and really Ljungberg should have done better. I mean, look, he has a good look. He can see him coming up there. He thinks, well, I'll give him a pal one here. Rolls it across the front, and that was a bad miss.
I know a few strikers who'd have gone for goal from there.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
he's got to go for it.
He's let them off the hook, really. Shello hoisting it forward. Andreas Andersson. It's a lovely little ball to Schönstrom, then Novakovic! And no wonder he is absolutely furious with himself. Stuart Baxter can't believe he's missed it.
I don't think anybody can believe he missed it. You know, it's the usual thing, isn't it? You should score at one end up to the other, and there was a chance. Look at that. I mean, he's on his own. He's coming in there and just miskicks it.
Anderson and Schönstrom fashioned the opening for him in splendid fashion too. What a waste. Vieira. Now Kanu. Enigmatic, but at times simply breathtaking. He's off on a run. Kanu! And it's forced in by Schuker.
That's what Sukiya is there for. He's got to be in that box, Peter. He's a penalty box player. Get the little knock-ins, you know, get the knockdowns. I mean, he can read situations in there. He's delighted with that one. But, you know, Kanu, what skill. Beautiful.
It was sheer magic from the Nigerian. Twisting away from defenders, and Schuker sliding in far post to make it 3-1 to Arsenal. 10 minutes into the second half.
The big fella just burst between the two defenders there. Left it for dead, and that was a real striker's goal.
His second in the Champions League. And they have now established a grip on this game. And with his right foot too.
Well, you hardly think that was a shot, Peter, did you? It was a nudge with the right foot.
He gets a lot of stick for not using his right. So let's give him credit when it's due. Overmars causing more problems now. Accelerating away Overmars. And they are threatening now to tear them apart.
I think we'll see the goals flying in this half. Yeah, I do think that AIK Solna had a very good first half when they were battling away, but I think tiredness might come into it a little bit. You know, at the end of their season, Overmars here might have crossed the ball, went for the shot.
Well, they're off on holiday soon to Mexico, would you believe, Solna? But they won't want to depart on a low note in terms of getting a hiding here. There's a danger of that at the moment. But they have had opportunities, no question about it. Schönstrom offside. That's another close call.
It was a close call. Again, the ball just played in behind the Arsenal back two centre-backs there. It's been a real problem for them tonight.
But Solna have been caught out defensively. They let in 13 in the first 5 games in the group. Of course, scored only 2. They actually did okay really in the first 3, but it's rather fallen apart for them since then. They were unlucky to lose here to Barcelona. Then defeat at Wembley against Arsenal. Goalless draw here with Fiorentina. But then they let in 3 in Florence and, of course, 5 in the Nou Camp. 3 tonight from Arsenal so far. And there might be more. That's Cormac. Novakovic. Getting no sympathy from the referee. He's a handful, though.
Yeah, he's been pretty lively up front, hasn't he?
Not bad for 35, is he? Well, Stuart Baxter has done a super job here. In 18 months, he really has transformed the club. Having their best spell in their history. But the Champions League, for the moment anyway, it's just a shade too far for them, you feel. He was saying, actually, that defeat in Barcelona really underlined the differences between the teams, not only in ability, but the mental approach as well.
Well, you're talking about a club with a huge history in European football and one who's only in it 5 minutes.
$33,000 here tonight, but so often, of course, they play in front of much smaller crowds in the Swedish league. Just a few more than that in the Nou Camp. And the contrast was a bit hard for them to take. And they're pressing again here. They certainly haven't given up the chase. Novakovic. And then Anderson going in. And it was Meninga to the rescue.
I think young Upson got his foot to that one as well, Peter.
Gustafsson. It was a superb reaction save initially from the Austrian goalkeeper to keep out Novakovic, who is certainly keeping Arsenal fully occupied defensively. Here he is again. Gabusa, Novakovic, that's Gustafsson. It was Meninga who made the save, and in spectacular fashion too. Novakovic. No, I don't think so. And in other circumstances, the referee might have taken his name for that. That was somewhat theatrical. Dive? What dive? We'll let him off. Gustafsson. Kanu. Who can change the shape of any game with his outstanding skill and ability. It was a thrilling run that set up Schuker for the third. It's Kanu now. He certainly hasn't finished yet. Schuker. Cormac dribbling out. It's caught the fever. Oh, Schuker now. Teasing Lagerlöf, but he couldn't get away from him. Corneliussen to Ola Anderson. The game has really opened up now. Nordin. But he couldn't drift away from Petit. Here's Ljungberg. He's had to take some stick from the fans tonight. The former Halmstad player. Luzhny to Manu Petit. Over miles off on a run again. Here's Schuker. He's got Winterburn in space down the left. Don't think they can knock too many balls in the air. Well, they have done this time, and Schuker was offside. It's on the ground saying with their build-up play that they can be so incisive and so dangerous, Arsenal.
Oh, they're a wonderful footballing team. There are no two ways about it. I mean, they're a joy to watch when they're knocking it around.
Lagerlöf for Solna. Novakovic stretching but not outmanoeuvring Luzhny. And Arsenal, well, Arsene Wenger really must be wondering what might have been in this group. Only a couple of results had gone their way. He said in the first round you have to survive and not dream too much, but they simply haven't lived up to expectations. Although they are now looking here too strong for Solna. Ljungberg. Kanu wanted it played through the middle. Overmars then supplied the pass, but it wasn't a telling one. Ola Anderson, Novakovic, he's timed his run this time. Andreas Anderson chasing as well. Dixon on the retreat.
He's given it throw in, but I thought Lee Dixon left the ball and pushed him.
Yeah, he was looking for Anderson here.
Yeah, he was.
Dixon endeavouring to fend him off. Gustafsson. He's done well to get his cross in too. Anderson. The home fans felt he was being impeded then, but there was no real protest from the Solna players. But he's played well tonight, Anderson. So many knockbacks, setbacks in the last few years.
You know, although Arsenal are dominating the game here in the second half, every time the ball's in the penalty area of Arsenal, you always think something might happen. They're a bit nervy in there.
Out by Upson. Corneliussen. Swung over by Gustafsson. It's a poor header out there by Winterburn. Well, he's having a field day now. He's threatening to run right. Mark Overmars. They got 4 up in this attack. Gustafsson was alert though defensively.
Again, a poor ball, I have to say, Peter. You know, Vieira ran from halfway, and he should really have been found at the back post.
Upson to Lushny for Arsenal. Almost midway through the second half. And they've established the 2-goal cushion. Thanks to the pace of Overmars and the predatory skills of Davor Schuker. Not to mention Kanu. Here's Cormac. Tidily getting himself out of that little situation. Good experienced pro, Pontus Cormac. Gustafsson with Kanu. That's the Swede who's come out on top. He's played a couple of games for the national team recently, Gustafsson, as cover for Roland Nielsen. Off goes Anderson. He really has looked buoyant this evening. Andreas Anderson. Might fall here for Ola Anderson. He's had chances too. They are creating openings, and they have done from start to finish, really.
Well, they have. When they get, as I say, when they get the ball in and around the penalty area of Arsenal, they have looked very threatening.
They have the corner. Shello has just arrived in the middle. He won't reach him though. As Vieira clears. Gustafsson. Now Cormac. Former Gothenburg player. Really enjoyed his time with Leicester City too, Cormac. Dixon. Nordin was first to respond. I'm sure whatever the outcome tonight, he can expect a rousing reception, Nordin, at the end of his final game for the club. Vieira to Upson.
What skill by Petit there, eh?
And they've really caught the eye, the 2 Frenchmen patrolling the heart of the midfield for Arsenal. Here's Vieira again. But his slip has let in Sjöström. And Dixon cool under pressure. Real composure then from the veteran defender. Asper, who, like Menenga at the other end, has had to pull off a string of saves tonight, but has still let in 3. Stuart Baxter berating his team from the sidelines. Just wheeled away then in disgust. Offside here, Novakovic. Who'd be a linesman saying it's a thankless task.
It is a thank. I mean, he was offside. It is a thankless task.
Ljungberg. It was Lushny spreading the play well to pick out Winterburn. Ola Anderson just spun away then from Petit. Novakovic on a run ahead of him. Darting through is Anderson. He's onside this time! And they're back in the game again. Take that, says Stuart Baxter. What a super goal.
It was a super goal and a beautiful little ball. But, you know, that's the one that's been catching Arsenal out all night. And again, this fellow's very cool finish.
And I tell you what, Saint, he's answered a few of his critics tonight, Andreas Anderson.
Yeah. I mean, Lee Dixon's got his arm up looking for offside. You did no way was he offside. Yeah, that was a cool finish. Outside of the foot, just rolled it into the corner.
Solna 2, Arsenal 3, and it's 2 goals for Andreas Anderson, former Newcastle man. Player who can't stop scoring at the moment. He didn't play, he didn't play in Barcelona because of injury, Anderson. So 2 in the last 2 league games, and now 2 tonight.
All credit to Solna, you know, they've kept going, could easily have packed it in, but they're now chasing the equaliser.
Chance from Andreas Anderson. So much more confidence about his play now. He really lost hard up at Newcastle, and certainly the same applied in Milan.
Yeah, I don't know what was the matter with him up at Newcastle, but
he had injuries, he didn't have injuries.
Yeah, well, he certainly didn't look a player, did he? He looked a man with no confidence in his game, and he just couldn't settle in there. But tonight, he really has looked a player.
Now Solna are going to make a change in goal, and it's the manager's son who's going to come on for a taste of European action, Lee Baxter.
Now that can only be because the manager wants his laddie to get a game with you, because the goalkeeper has done marvellous all night, I think, Asper.
Bit of a sentimental gesture, you feel?
Well, I think so.
Hanninger, who's in ahead of David Seaman tonight. Schuker, exquisite first touch. He has outstanding technique. That was Petit, looking for Overmars. Aslund is also going to come on. He featured at Wembley in the first game. Off goes Novakovic. I'm going to check that statistic. He can't be 35, Novakovic. He's not stopped running.
No, he hasn't. I mean, you don't get 35-year-olds running like that, surely. Check your birth certificate.
Overmars checked in his stride this time. And the home crowd are really enjoying their team's fight back now. Off goes Gustafsson. Arsenal may have felt there was a handball. Andreas Anderson, who's on a hat-trick. Couldn't force his way past Luzhny, and now the double substitution can be made. And the strength to hold him off Luzhny. So Asper is making way for Lee Baxter, Solna's reserve, who's come back to Europe after a spell in the J-League. His dad was a coach out there, at the same time too as Arsene Wenger. And also on is Aslund. Replacing Corneliusson. Aslund, who is a Swedish international, albeit just one appearance for his country. He's captain the Euro 2000 qualifiers, but it's a big moment this for Lee Baxter in his second season with the club. He didn't play any league games in England. He had a spell with Blackburn, also with Rangers up in Scotland. Get out there, says Dad, and show us what you can do.
I think it's a nice touch. Some people might say it's nepotism, but I think it's a nice little touch.
Let's reserve judgment and see how he does first.
Yes.
Vieira. Certainly no reflection on Asper's performance. Nordin barging into Schuker, or was it the other way around? Here's Cormac. So no sign of any Arsenal substitutions. Flags up. What do you know on the far side?
He's got a slow right arm, this fellow.
What amazes me is how the coach down here can see what happened. He's about 50 yards away. He's down here waving at everybody.
Well, the coach knew it was never offside. No, you mentioned the Arsenal subs. I would think it would be a nice night for one or two of the kids to come on.
Well, there's still plenty of time. Here's Overmars now. Winterburn. Vieira. It maybe is the one flaw to his game, St. Vieira. He doesn't score that many goals.
Well, maybe not, but I think I would have him in the team.
He has other qualities.
I think so, yes.
Hasn't scored since August. Vieira. Here he is now with a free header aimed at Schuker. Now Nordin. This is Cormac. He's had to switch to the centre tonight with Brundin out through injury. He would certainly have played, so it is something of a makeshift defence for Solna. Slipped in by Gustafsson, which isn't too costly because Nordin is there, but he hasn't kept it in play. Ljungberg has worked tirelessly down the right for Arsenal. Maybe now Wenger will think about giving him or one or two of the others a breather.
I think you may be right. I think the Arsenal, I'm just looking down there, Pat Rice is calling the lads who are warming up, bringing them up to the bench here, so maybe we'll see some substitutions from the
They've
Arsenal.
actually got heating down there on the bench, so maybe they won't want to come on.
Have they?
We haven't got any up here. Oh, actually we have above us. Tell a lie. Here goes Anderson, Novakovic. Here's Novakovic again. Anderson. Really has tormented Arsenal's defence at times. Nordin. Anderson again, as Nordin takes a tumble. Schürrle, the Norwegian. Promising build-up here from Solna. Will Winterburn turn back into trouble? But he managed to escape. Overmars. Now Kanu. Whoops. That has to be a foul. Arsenal's free kick for the assault on Kanu.
Very difficult man to dispossess when he's on the ball. I mean, he's such a powerful big fellow. Big long legs, big rangy player, great skill.
Overmars. Getting that little injection of pace. It's Petit. Straight at Novakovic though. Anderson. Arsenal thinking about a couple of substitutions, but not for the moment. Mounts and Hughes, I think, are the two coming on. Here's Nordin. Nordin, the captain again. And also Vivas, the Argentine, is getting ready. Pontus Cormac. The long ball from Schürrle, asking too much of Anderson. Willing runner though he is. And now I think Arsenal can make their changes.
See the referee lifting a couple of just watching the goal rolling in there.
Expertly taken by Andreas Andersen. So Stefan Mounts and Stephen Hughes about to come on.
It's actually a boot. The referee had picked up a boot.
All right. And here's Nelson Vivas joining the fray. Lushny has limped off, so clearly he has a problem. Vivas will play at the back instead of Luzhny. Hughes and Mounts will slot into the midfield. Actually, Schuker is coming off, so maybe Overmars will push up front. That looks to be the case, alongside Kanu. And it's Petit also being sacrificed here. Stephen Hughes, who's not been in the picture, of course, he's been out on loan to Fulham. But Arsene Wenger, I gather, has assured him he has a future. And Stefan Mounts is the German, who also hasn't really had a look in so far since coming to Highbury. Well, they're getting their opportunity here with some 12 minutes to go. Dixon to Vivas. Versatile player who can play at the back or in midfield. And it will be a defensive role for him now, in tandem with young Matthew Upson. That is Nordin out-jumping Kanu. He had a head start on him. Upson to Vieira, who has stayed the pace. Oh, Kanu, he was onside, he's dodged the flag. Still Kanu. And hit well too by Hughes. Just couldn't keep it down.
Well, Kanu picked him out beautifully there. He had a look, saw where everybody was, saw Hughes was unmarked out the edge of the box here and found him. It was a lovely ball. Look outside of the foot. You know, Hughes on his own, has a little bit of time. Not a bad strike, but too high.
And he's a talented player, Stephen Hughes, who needs to revive his career now. Get himself settled, really. Things didn't work out for him at Craven Cottage. Where the word is he fell out with Paul Bracewell, the manager there. Anderson now offside. More gestures towards the poor old referee's assistant over there. Rueful smile from him. Let's hope he's still welcome in the bar afterwards. Overmars, they just can't cope with that acceleration. In the end, Cormac able to bring it away though. Clearance was straight at Ljungberg. Just hearing from the dressing room that Luzhny has a groin injury. And I think Petit, that's just a precaution, taking him off.
Well, he was slowing up a bit, Petit. You could see that he was feeling the pace a little bit, so it's quite right to take him off.
And he had several weeks out, didn't he, with that knee problem. And they want him back fighting fit and match fit too. Especially with Vieira starting the suspension soon, and Ray Parler out as well. Certainly it's a stronger Arsenal squad these days, many more options open to Arsene Wenger. Gustafsson with the free kick as Nordin trots away. Shello. This is Novakovic, 35-year-old going on 18. Winterburn with the back pass. Not far short of his 36th birthday himself now, Winterburn. Overmars losing his balance at the vital moment. Gustafsson. Pressure being applied here by Kanu. Arsenal are certainly fighting this one right to the wire. 9 minutes now away from victory, but leading somewhat precariously, given Anderson's finishing for Solna by 3-2.
Lundberg there has moved on to the right-hand side of the field, and the Stefan Maltz playing down the left.
Oh, Anderson going down there. Nordin kept going, but Anderson was clattered. Schertstrom. Nordin supporting. This is Vivas. Using his experience then to good effect. But there was certainly a whack on Andreas Anderson. I think he's okay. Nordin, who's been at the thick of things too. They have certainly not been short on endeavour, Solna this evening. Here's Novakovic whipping it far post. Aslan, the substitute, to Lagerlöf. Now it's Overmars on the break. This could be a real danger now, but he's had to go on his own. Didn't have too much support. Hughes to Vieira. Then Dixon. Freddie Ljungberg. Hughes tidily working it on to Winterburn. Now Maltz. Just couldn't probe it through. Hughes stepping up. Good play by Hughes. Kanu. Oh, the impudence of the man. He's a joy to watch, Kanu. Vieira to Dixon. Possession football, but is there a sting to it now from Arsenal? Well, Kanu appreciated the idea. The execution wasn't quite there. He's got a fair old kick on him, Baxter. Here's Winterburn. And Stefan Maltz. A little casual then, Arsenal. Nordin.
If Solna could get a couple of crosses in at this late stage, you know, it might embarrass Arsenal, because Vivas is playing centre-back and he's not the tallest man in the field.
Silvino is also unavailable tonight through injury, and Grimondi is suspended. So they are stretched tonight, Arsenal. Baxter hoping his team can take this right to the last now with another goal. They have come back so well. But it's Hughes for Arsenal. Nothing on for Overmars this time. Played in for Schanstrom, who's drifted in midfield. Nordin to Ola Anderson. Then Schürrle. Schanstrom after this one. That was a bit of a rescue from Nordin, who would so like to go out with a goal tonight. That was his ball clipped in.
Vivas got on the end of this, I think, and headed it out, which not a good clearance. And they just nodded it down to him.
And whether he fell awkwardly then or Hughes caught him, we didn't see from the replay. The shot was certainly well wide of goal. From Christian Nordin. We're inside the last 5. And Arsenal's victory is not yet secure against this very determined Solna team. Goes Asland, and he's been penalised.
Actually, it was a handball. It was the other way, I thought.
Yeah. Schuker down on the bench, looking relaxed too on the score sheet for Arsenal this evening. Kanu, who set it up for him. This is Ljungberg. Kanu again. Mark Overmars to Dixon. Now Ljungberg. Kanu. Gustafsson closing him down.
Kanu was thinking of just lifting the ball over his head there.
Here's Ljungberg. Overmars looking to stretch them again, but it fell kindly for Nordin. Nick will pass on for Ola Anderson. Now Andreas Anderson and Schanstrom. Dixon to prod it out. Anderson. Here's Vieira. Such a strong player, but such poise too. Maltz. Winterburn sprinting forward in support. Now Vieira. Vivas to Ljungberg. Vieira. It was Nordin sliding in to win the ball back for Solna. Ola Andersson.
He's had a good game tonight, Andersson, hasn't he? Ola Andersson as well, and just playing behind the front two players, been very busy.
Should have scored too from the chances he had.
Yes, he should.
But his industry has not been in question. Cormack. Sjöström. Gustafsson to his left. And he's been impressive again too. Gustafsson delivering the cross. Andersson couldn't quite latch onto it, but here's Sjöström. How can he deliver? Gustafsson. Andreas Andersson and Sjöström. Again, good teamwork. Can they find this penetration they need? Back goes Asplund, looking to police the run of Overmars. Whose scorching pace has been such a key for Arsenal tonight. Vivas. Wide to Ljungberg. Kanu is offside. Those linesmen have been somewhat overworked tonight in terms of having to give offside decisions. But there has certainly been plenty of goalmouth activity. Menenga called upon for a series of saves. There will be 1 minute of time added on. Kanu. Mounts giving up the chase, but Solna haven't yet. Well, they haven't got too long to save it. Here's Ola Andersson, outmaneuvered by Vieira, and his anticipation. Sherlow with Lagerlöf. Now Novakovic. Slipped on to Sjöström. That's sound defending to deny him by Dixon.
Well, you should never say it's all over, eh? I mean, last seconds of the game there, they could have scored Solna.
And Novakovic is down injured. He took a thumping then as he came racing through.
Good little ball played through, wasn't it? Dixon in there with the tackle.
And Arsenal will have a corner now to defend. Everybody back for Arsenal. Menenga opting to punch it away. That was Asplund. But the final whistle has been blown, and Arsenal have won by 3 goals to 2. Overmars with 2 for Arsenal tonight, equalled by Andersson with a couple for Solna. Overmars, who could have had a hat-trick too. Scant consolation perhaps after the misery of failing to progress to the next phase for Arsenal, but at least they've ended the Champions League group on a high. A victory that will certainly help lift fragile morale and leave them in better spirits, better shape before they learn on Friday the identity of their UEFA Cup opponents. Solna bow out without having made the impact their fans were craving for. 5 defeats and just that single point at home against Fiorentina to cherish from their experience on the Premier European stage, but they will have learnt from it. This was Overmars with the first goal tucked away. Andersson with the reply. What a wonderful goal this was too, as he turned away there from Matthew Upson. Nothing Menenga could do from there on. It was Kanu then who just prodded it through for Overmars to score his second, and Arsenal were on their way. And Kanu setting up the goal for Schuker. And in the end, it was to prove conclusive, really. It was just beyond Solna then, although they came back once more. Anderson claiming his second. Well, the Champions League is over for these two teams, and Arsenal have the final word. Winners tonight by 3-2. Let's hear now from Jeremy.
Thanks, Peter. A decent game in the end. Let's get a quick reaction to tonight's match from Paul Elliott.
Well, Jeremy, I mean, despite an impressive revival, in my view, expectedly marshalled by Andreas Andersen of AIK Solna, collectively, individually, Arsenal's superior technique and quality, won the game convincingly in the end.
Thanks, Paul. We're back in just a moment with the highlights of tonight's match.
That will help us to be in a good position at the end of the season. They've shown tonight they are professionals. They really wanted to win the game, and I'm pleased with their attitude.
You've taken a bit of criticism for your record in Europe over the last week or so. The players have taken criticism, of course, because you've gone out of the Champions League. So does this answer a few of those critics?
Listen, we have to try our best in every game and accept the critics. When you don't win, you deserve to be criticized, and the only thing you never can allow is that you don't give everything to win. That's what we do. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes unfortunately not. But we are still in Europe, we are in the UEFA Cup, and we'll try to do well in the UEFA Cup now.
That's all right, go and win that. Thank you very much, Arsene.
Thank you. Thank you.
Arsene Wenger chatting there to Gabriel Clark. Let's have a look at the story of the game with Paul Elliott.